You have dreamed about having a natural birth, possibly even a home birth. And then you go to your appointment and have that scan and discover you're not just having one baby, you're having twins. Suddenly, that high risk label shows up in your chart, and suddenly you're panicking. Wait a minute. Don't twins mean a C section? You don't want a C section. You wanted to have a home birth. Is that completely off the table? Well, in today's episode of the Cesarean Trap series, I'm going to be addressing that because the truth is that even if you have twins, you don't necessarily have to have a C section. Now, I'm not going to say that you can guarantee having a natural birth because sometimes there are complications that come up. However, they are a lot less common than people think. And the fact that they automatically schedule you for a C-section just because you're having twins is a cesarean trap. And in this series, we are all about addressing those cesarean traps. If you don't know what a cesarean trap is, and you've just stumbled upon this video and you've never heard of the empowered birth method or any of my content, and you don't know who I am, then I'm just going to let you know my name is Carly Bonderud, and I'm a childbirth educator, author of Your Empowered Birth, and I'm a birth empowerment coach. I'm also a women's empowerment coach. So there's another side to my work as well. Now, the thing you really need to know, though, is that if you have any questions about what a cesarean trap is or how to get the most out of these master classes, then you're going to want to check out the playlist inside of the YouTube channel. Go into the Cesarean Traps playlist and check out the first video in the series. This is going to tell you the overview of the cesarean traps, what it is, how it undermines your confidence, and how it costs a lot of moms their natural births, only for them to later find out that they could have avoided that C-section. You know, a lot of the clients that have come to me over the years, especially when I started in the beginning, have been C-section moms, even though I myself have never had a C-section. The reason for that is because they want to know how I managed to avoid it, because I was on my way to getting a C-section. They told me that my baby wasn't growing properly and that I would probably have to schedule a C-section. And then later, when I was trying to push him out and it was taking 3 hours, I again had that fear that I was going to be cut. But the truth is that you can actually avoid a C-section if it's not medically necessary. In 10 to 15% of the time, you may need to have a C-section, and it may even be less than that, depending on the actual complication. What do you think people did when babies were born and they had twins? Mothers did survive. And you have to remember that if mothers survived having twins and moms end up having twin home births, surprise twins at that, sometimes even surprise breech twins, then why is it that in the medical system, the second you go into the hospital, they automatically will schedule you for a C-section? You know, when you really look at that, this is what the natural birth traps and cesarean traps addresses. It helps you understand how to avoid having your confidences chipped away at. Because as long as you're planning your birth from a place of fear instead of a place of power, that's when they get you. That's when they push you into that C-section that you didn't need. And then if you have one C-section, you are more likely to be pushed into another C-section. So the thing about twins is, yes, there are certain things that could come up. At the same time, you don't need to focus on that. And I'm going to share with you some stories of moms that I've seen, both in actual connection talked to, and stories that I've seen online about twins and having a home birth, or even having a unassisted VBAC on the side of the road after 2 previous C-sections and recognizing that both twins were breached, because I've seen those before too. To get the most out of the master classes, you're also going to want to check the description of this video. Go down there and see if there's a transcript available. If there's not, there will be in the future. Everything here at Empowering Moms builds on itself. That means that In addition to creating the masterclasses, I eventually clip these videos into shorter segments. I also put these on Threads. I put them on Instagram. I put them on Facebook. I put them out into little mini training series. So I'll take some of the best pieces of the content and then I will create a self-study program from that. These are insights that come to me while working with clients and with just answering questions from empowered moms. So every time that you comment inside of our community, or you reach out, or you subscribe to our newsletter and you ask questions, or you go through one of our courses and you ask questions, or you work with me directly and you ask questions, you are contributing to the knowledge base that comes in through empowering moms. If you happen to be a birth worker and you're watching this just to get the overview, or maybe you're just checking me out just for fun, maybe you're just a birth junkie like I am, and you just love to check out other birth workers' content, then I'm also going to encourage you that if you find anything valuable within this video, or you would like to go deeper, I do believe that it's going to take all of us. So if you have resources that you'd like to share, you can put those resources inside of the comments of this masterclass. And you can also reach out directly to me, hello@empoweringmomsbirth.com, and we can do a collaborative project together. Maybe you have a story on twins, or maybe you're a mom who had a twin birth and it was completely natural and you want to share your story in the comments. Absolutely. The more that we can support each other and the more that we can share those stories, the more it's going to ripple out. A drop in the ocean creates ripples, many ripples create waves, and enough waves can change the tide. Okay, so in this masterclass, I'm basically going to share with you how the diagnosis of twins undermines your confidence. I'm also going to share with you how this can then affect your ability to go on and have a natural birth because now you've been tricked out of it, told that you can't. And I'm also going to share with you some inspiring stories of moms who have had natural births with twins. I'm going to give you some additional resources that you may want to check out. And I'm also going to tell you more about the empowered birth method and how to apply it in this case. I'm going to tell you about additional classes that you're going to want to check out both in the do-it-yourself path and within self-study. Because premium coaching, I don't work with everyone who comes to me. And I want to save those self-study classes for the moms who are really going to go through and do the work. So I do have something called your Empowered Birth Academy, and this allows you to basically go through my entire program, the core program, and any additional classes and courses that you want to go through. And it comes with laser coaching. This means that once you finish the program, you are able to get on a call with me or one of my coaching queens, and then we're going to look over your birth plan and all your workbooks and be like, okay, this is what we see. And we look at those ahead of time so that when we get on that call, we are laser focused on what you need. That's why it's called laser coaching. We basically have that built right into the price of our self-study VIP programs. So you're not paying for the information. You're paying for the access and the support. Information is free here at Empowering Moms, and I only charge for access to me and my coaching queens. So understanding that, you can also just take this do-it-yourself path. You can watch these master classes, you can follow the rabbit holes, and you can get more out of it. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out. So in addition to telling you about how to apply the empowered birth method for twins, I'm also going to tell you about how to assess risks. I'm going to tell you about additional master classes that you're going to want to watch on assessing risks. And I'm going to tell you about what else you may want to look at to help you get past your fear and advocate strongly for yourself. Because the whole essence of the empowered birth method is that we aim for a true natural birth and we pull back only as much as needed. So now that you know the structure, I'm also going to invite you to use the rule of 3 with these master classes, especially if you are a serious student. This means that you're going to want to watch the master class at least once all the way through. Get the overview, because once you have the overview, Then you can go back and watch it the second time, and you can skip around and go to the sections that you want to go to. I've embedded headlines inside of the video itself. So you're going to be able to see, oh, this is what we're talking about now. And then you can go and get those aha moments that you may have missed before. The third time you watch it, you already know and you've got your aha moments. Now you're looking to implement. So you're going to be wanting to look more at the strategy and how to apply it. I'm also going to encourage you as a do-it-yourselfer to ask questions. Put it in the comments. And if it's time sensitive, email the team hello@empoweringmomsbirth.com, because we will get back to you within 1 to 2 business days if you are already a newsletter subscriber, and 3 to 5 business days if you are just out there and you haven't subscribed to our newsletter. So if you are not a subscriber, write to hello@empoweringmomsbirth.com. If you are subscribed to our community newsletter, then you're going to have a faster path of access to us. And you just hit reply to any one of our emails. And then we're like, oh, yeah, you're a community subscriber. We're going to get back to you and we're going to prioritize you. And if you happen to be in the self-study VIP, or you happen to be in premium coaching, there is a more direct path to us, because we really want you to get that support, and you're paying for it. So you're going to get it. You're going to have that priority support. And the more that you are investing in yourself and in empowering moms, the more that you are going to get that direct support targeted at your specific issue. I'm also going to let you know with this one, we don't give medical advice, okay? What we can do is we can direct you to other resources so that you can kind of have more of a backstory of what the medical system might be thinking versus what is possible inside of the holistic community. And then with your evidence and information, you can then ask questions of your care provider. And if they are not a category 5, meaning that they are open to maybe changing something to help support you better, go check out the birth advocacy report or some of my other videos if you want to know more about how to apply that part. Then what that's going to allow you to do is, now you are not in a position of fear. You have your information, and now you also are bringing in that right facilitator who can support you at a higher level. They may learn new skills by working with you. They may now see a new path that wasn't an option for them before, so that they can support other clients. So the more that we can help inform the medical system that twins do not have to be born by C-section, the more we can shift things around so that the moms who maybe don't have that information get more options and they're no longer afraid. Because you don't deserve to be afraid just because you're having twins. In fact, I myself have had this thought because I have served moms who have had twins before. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, well, what if I did have twins? Well, I still would want to have a completely natural birth, possibly even hands off. I'd probably have the midwife in like the other room or something and call her in at the last minute if I needed her. At the same time, I'd need to plan ahead and think, well, what if I do need a C-section? How would I make that an empowering experience? So twins are on my radar. I've just always been obsessed with twins. I thought about it. I've never had twins before. And I know that if I ever did have twins, then that's the path that I would take. I'm not saying that that's the path you need to take. At the same time, you deserve to have options. And that is really what Empowering Moms is about, is giving you options and helping you to create your own path. So you're not having to do what everybody else tells you to do. You're doing what's right for you. If you decide that a C-section is appropriate in your case, that is okay. You deserve to have the most beautiful and empowering C-section. However, if it's not, if it's something you really want to avoid, unless it's absolutely medically necessary, then I'm going to give you the information that you need so that you don't have to be afraid. Because one of the things that really bothers me about twins is how much fear is attached to that. You go and check out the twin home birth groups, and you are going to find a lot of moms that are just absolutely trying to avoid the hospital at all costs, even when they might need to be there. And then in the other side, you see the regular twin groups, and all these moms are planning a C-section. And then you go on to twin content, and you see moms who had twins and they all had C-sections, or they had a lot of trauma in their births. You go and get books on twins, and you hear all the ways that twins can have all these complications, and that scares you. And you're just wanting to keep those babies in as long as possible. And then at some point, if you've got the wrong care provider, they're going to schedule your C-section. They may even be like, oh, you have twins, we'll schedule your C-section for 38 weeks. And it's just on the books. And that's not how it works. Because if you never schedule a surgery, you could end up having a completely natural birth. And even if you had scheduled that, what if you can't get to the hospital and you go into labor and there's nobody around to help you? You need to get past your fear. I believe that even if you're planning to have assistance at your birth, you need to be able to plan ahead in case you can't get that assistance. You need to be able to get past your fear. Because if you're afraid, that can cause complications in itself. Think about mammals giving birth in the wild. If they end up disturbed or they are afraid, really awful things can happen. They even end up eating their babies in some cases, or they abandon their new baby. And you need to recognize that we are mammals and we have a delicate balance in our hormonal process. And disturbing that process unnecessarily is what leads to a lot of complications. So recognizing that our aim is our physiological, true natural birth experience, and then we're going to pull back only as much as needed. You need to have that mindset that you could actually have a twin birth at home, or that you could have a twin birth on the side of the road, or you could have a twin birth in the hospital without anybody touching you. And continue to look at that as twins come out naturally. That's the mindset you really need. Twins do come out naturally. They've been done. We wouldn't have the DNA to have twins if it wasn't for the fact that people before us, before the medical system came in, had twins. And not all of them died. Not all of them had serious complications. And twins actually used to be a sign of good luck. In fact, there were actual communities that believed that twins would bring luck to the whole community. And you can check out more about that inside of Rachel Reed's book, Reclaiming Childbirth as a Rite of Passage, because she does talk about that. Another really good one is, it was mentioned inside of Women Who Run with the Wolves. But you really need to recognize that twins in itself isn't a natural birth trap. It's not a cesarean trap. It's how we approach twins. So the other thing you really need to know is that if they're trying to scare you into all of the ways that this could go wrong, they're not the right care provider for you. And you need to really be able to assess that risk. So go check out one of my other masterclasses that I did in the Essential Tips series in season 1 of the Empowered Birth series. That's inside of my playlist on my YouTube channel. And that will tell you about how to assess risks. There's also another video on how to assess what your alternatives are and how to confidently say no. Basically, I give you the overview map of how to advocate for yourself strongly, because you really do need to do that. You need to advocate strongly because a lot of care providers are afraid. They've been taught and trained to deliver twins by cesarean. They don't know any other way to do it. And then the other one is that oftentimes they're going to pull on twins unnecessarily, and that in itself will cause complications. You know, there's a story of a mom who had twins, and one baby was born first, and then her cervix completely closed up, and the other baby that was smaller and needed more time to grow had another few weeks and then was born vaginally. So they were technically conceived at the same time, but they weren't born on the same days. So when you recognize that our bodies are very smart and our bodies know what to do, then you can also see that there's a lot of moms that they get surprise twins at their home birth, Why is it that when you're planning a home birth and you find out you have twins, they say you've risked out a home birth? But then if you happen to have a home birth and you don't know that you're having twins, and then you've given birth to your one baby, and then the midwife is like, "Oh, wait, there's a surprise baby." They're again assisting you with that birth. They attended a home birth with twins, even though it's not allowed. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Same thing with VBAC. There's a lot of moms that they're told you can't have a home birth, you can't have a natural birth because you have twins and you had a previous C-section. Well, there's a story of a mom who had 2 previous C-sections. She had breech twins and she was on her way to the hospital and she didn't make it. She didn't make it to the hospital. She had her twins in the car. So when you recognize that, again, twins can be born safely unassisted. If you had to, you could do it. I'm not saying you have to do it. And I'm not saying you should do it. I'm saying that it's a possibility. And you deserve to know that that is a possibility. You don't need to be scared. So when you understand that there's so many different nuances to how twins have been born, and there's been breech twins, there's been footling twins, there's been twins that are holding hands as they're coming out. Like there's so many different variations on how this can happen. And there's so many amazing twin stories that I've started to collect over the years. You then can see that it's not an automatic C-section. And the more that I am studying twins, the more I collect. So if you have any questions or you have any resources for me, reach out to me and the team, hello@empoweringmomsbirth.com, because I love to collect these. I can add them to my Empowered Birth Library, which is basically a resource hub where I put all of the links and information so that if a mom comes to me and she happens to have twins and she needs information, I can easily access that data. So the more data that I collect, the more I'm able to distribute. So if you do find some articles, some fascinating things, put them inside the comments or reach out to the team, hello@empoweringmomsbirth.com. Okay, so you know now, twins can be born vaginally. They can be born naturally. They can be born unassisted. They can be born at home. However, how do you apply the empowered birth method to this? Okay, well, before we get into that, I'm going to give you some additional resources, okay? First of all, a lot of twins can be born breech. So you're going to want to check out Haley Pierce's book, Breech, because that's going to give you some ideas of what you may want to look at. And it's going to also fill you with some positive birth stories. Now, this isn't directly about twins, but Reclaiming Childbirth as a Rite of Passage by Rachel Reed goes into the physiological birth process. So you'll be able to understand more about what your body is doing and the hormonal process. You're also going to understand that, you know, the medical system did a lot of things in birth that led to the complications that they now say that can happen with certain types of births. In addition to that, you're going to want to check out Why Induction Matters by Rachel Reed, because this one actually goes into the evidence for induction with twins, and induction with twins can lead to more C-sections. It's also going to help you understand that, you know, it doesn't actually have to be that way. You can physiologically give birth to twins. Changing Birth on Earth by Gail Tully, creator of Spinning Babies, is also going to be a helpful resource for you because there's actual positions that you would want to get into to understand how to help your baby turn and get that optimal positioning even with twins. Now, if you are having a hospital birth, and even if you're not, Natural Hospital Birth by Cynthia Gabriel does have a little segment on twin birth. So you're going to want to check that one out to basically make more plans on twins. There really isn't a lot on twins. And the problem with that is that it adds to a lot of fear. So what you're going to want to do, in addition to getting those resources, the ones that I mentioned, is you're also going to want to check out holistic twin groups and regular twin groups online. And then anything in the in between. So basically look at the holistic side of things. Look at the moms who had twins at home. Look at the moms who had unassisted twin births. And then also look at the side of the medical system and what they're saying and what complications can come up. And then what you need to do, similar to what I mentioned in the previous video on high risk, go back and watch that because this applies, is that you want to ask questions of, what is this? Is this a variation, complication, whatever that can come up in addition to having twins? And how likely is that to happen? Definitely check out that masterclass on how to assess risk. And definitely check out the masterclass that I did before this one, which is on high risk with the C-section, because that is going to apply here. The next thing, of course, is that you need to get past your fear on this. You need to shift your mindset. If you do not have a strong mindset, it is very easy to scare you. It is very easy to tell you all the ways that things can go wrong with twins. And you also need to look at that critically. So get past your fear. There's lots of resources at empoweringmomsbirth.com that will help you do that. The Reset Your Mindset for Empowered Birth mini challenge is where I'd suggest you start. And then if you still have some fears that you need to work through, inside of my Empowered Birth Toolkit, there is a module on getting past fear and trauma. Now, this is actually the first module within my other program, my signature workshop, Your Empowered Birth Workshop, which is going to give you the overview of the Empowered Birth System. It is a self-study program. It is completely free. You do have the option to upgrade to self-study VIP if you'd like some additional support. And because it is a very easy course to go through, and I used to run it as a free workshop, you don't have to get self-study VIP unless you really want that targeted support. Because I believe that empowered birth should be for everyone, and it should be regardless of your budget. And I used to run that program live anyway, and it was completely free. It was inside my Facebook group. And then what I did after is I would offer free coaching calls. I don't do coaching for free anymore. I am very selective on who I take on as a client. And the reason for that is because a lot of moms, they'd have questions that could have been answered if they had certain resources. I've now created those resources. I have the resource library. I have do it yourself. I have created self-study programs. In the beginning, I didn't have that. So now, if you want to get that additional support, that is where you can upgrade to self-study VIP. And you can also go through the entire Empowered Birth Workshop without doing anything other than just implementing the workbook. And then afterwards, if you're like, you know what, I'd like that extra little bit of help and support. I'd like to invest in self-study VIP. And yeah, I got the resources, but I can always go through the course again. And if there's anything else I'd like to know a little bit more about, I can now ask those questions. And because I've gone through the program already and I have my workbook, I can also have someone look over my birth plan and see if it's where I want to go or if there's something that I'm missing. That's how Rebecca ended up getting her home birth after 2 previous C-sections, is that she basically went through that workshop that Jenny and I created together. And she's like, can you look over my birth plan because I want to have a VBAC? And I looked it over and I'm like, I can see some things already that aren't going to work for you. And then we also determined, I asked her, it's like, well, I can help you with it. If you want me to help you with it, I can do that. And she's like, yeah, I do want your help. I do want that. And I do want to invest in you. And I do want to hire you as my doula. And because she was able to invest in herself, and she also knew that she could do it on her own if she wanted to, that process was accelerated where she wasn't even afraid of birth by her 2nd month working with me. She was already planning her home birth. And she's like, I got the pool, I've got all my herbs, I've got everything situated. I'm excited to give birth. Whereas before she was terrified, now she was excited. And that's really what I want for you. I want you to feel excited and empowered when it comes to giving birth, however that looks for you. So, as I mentioned with those resources, make sure you go and get those. Because there's not a lot on twins, you're going to need to ask those critical questions. I do suggest that you get past your fear, and I do suggest that you implement as much as possible when it comes to assessing your risks. There is a workbook inside of the Empowered Birth Toolkit, so make sure you go and utilize that workbook as well. And if you have any questions, or you happen to know of any resources, or you've stumbled upon them and you'd like to sift through and make sense of them, you can always reach out to me. hello@empoweringmomsbirth.com. We love to collect those resources so that we can pass it on to other moms, so that I can create more videos on twins in the future, and possibly even create some self-study programs, or bring in somebody who is an expert on supporting moms with twins, because they do exist. Dr. Stu is one of them. So that's pretty much what we have on the resources for twins, and how to apply that empowered birth method is really, you need to just get past your fear on this. You need to have that right mindset, and you need to be able to think critically. And then you make your plan. Again, go check out the video on the high risk and assessing risks for a C-section, because all of the same tools apply here. Finally, you're going to also want to have your partner on board for this, and hire a doula who is experienced with helping moms with twins, because you're going to need that extra help. Even if it's not in birthing, you're going to need that extra help after the babies are born. You're probably going to want to hire a postpartum doula. It's going to be a lifesaver. Even if you are exclusively breastfeeding your twins, you are going to want to have somebody else take them off your hands after they've fed, after they're happy, and let you and your partner get a little bit of sleep, so that then you can be refreshed. Because one baby is already an experience. Twins is a whole other ball game. One of my clients actually had twins before she attempted to have her VBAC, and she knows. So I can always reach out to her. Not only that, her twins are on the spectrum. So she had extra additional challenges when it came to her twins and her first baby. So recognizing that twins are a lot more work, there's a lot more love, there's a lot more challenges. And at the end of the day, the experiences that you get from raising twins can help you in other areas of your life, because you're like, oh my goodness, I raised twins. I got this. And that's pretty much it. So let's just quickly recap on what we learned, okay? So the big takeaways that you want to know is how the diagnosis of twins undermines your confidence and pushes you into a C-section. Is that the medical system is basically thinking twins, automatic C-section, too many variables can happen, too many complications, not worth it, not risking it, and moms get scared. On the other side, though, there are lots of moms that have had unassisted vaginal births with twins. There are lots of moms that intentionally birth at home with twins because they're not going to the hospital and they can't find anybody to support them, and they feel backed into a corner, which I don't think is right. I think that you deserve to have the birth experience you want, and you deserve to have support. And that's really what the Empowered Birth Movement is aiming to do, is find those care providers who could bend the rules, like Dr. Stu, like there's some other ones out there that I can't possibly list all of their names. However, when you find those care providers, they often have their hands tied too. They'd love to support more twin births. They may even like to attend twin births at home. And the way that our birth culture is set up, really, there's a culture of fear here. So then on the other side of that, there's the moms that didn't know they were having twins, and they are having a home birth, and suddenly they realize that there's an extra baby. And those births, midwives are able to attend, no problem. They're able to attend. They don't force mom into a C-section. So when you understand that dichotomy, it's like, if you don't know that you're carrying twins and you have twins, it's just the baby's born vaginally. There's no C-section. And at the same time, if you're diagnosed with twins, they are automatically planning for your surgery, which isn't right. So you're definitely going to want to assess the risks for yourself. You're going to want to get as much information as humanly possible that you can get on twins, and you need to work through your fears. And then at the same time, you need to have extra support, because with twins, you're kind of playing with two babies that are going to do their own thing versus just one. And even if you vaginally birth the twins and it's not a big deal, you're going to need help after the birth. So that's pretty much all I have for you today. If you want to go deeper and you want to learn more about the premium coaching side, the self-study VIP, do it yourself, all the ways to optimize that, then I encourage you to check out my website, empoweringmomsbirth.com/start guide, because that will give you the overview. You can also go subscribe to my Empowered Birth Toolkit, which is going to contain extra resources, all of the book bonuses that came with your Empowered Birth. I've also created a secondary folder called Empowered Mom Magic, which I'm going to be adding to over time. This is the other side of empowering moms, because whether you're birthing a business, birthing a baby, a creative project, a movement, or a new version of yourself, I am here to support you, and so are the 5 pillars of empowered birth, helping you get past those fear traps and helping you to come to your birth in any form from a place of power instead of a place of fear, so that you can pick your own path. You're no longer stuck between those two dichotomies, and you know what's right for you, because you are your own best expert, empowered mom, and I am here to help you find your path to your own sovereign motherhood experience. So if you love these videos, make sure you like, share, subscribe, pay it forward, pass this on to other moms. Remember, a drop in the ocean creates ripples. Many ripples create waves. Enough waves can change the tide. If you are also a content creator, you can stitch my videos. Please credit me. Please link it back to me, and also tag me. Let me know that you have created something. I'll go check it out. I might even like it. I might comment. I might add to it. I'll give you extra nuances. I believe in amplifying voices, and I believe that every mom deserves to have a creative outlet. So speak your message. If something inspired you, go share it, go create it in whatever form that you feel most comfortable in. And, Empowered Mom Magic is also here to help you learn how to amplify your voice. Because I used to be terrified of getting behind a camera, just to let you know. And I believe now that the reason I needed to get in front of the camera to help you is because so many times moms just fall into those cesarean traps. They don't know. And I am committed to you having your empowered birth, whether you work with me directly or not, whether you go into my self-study, whether you go into my premium coaching. Every birth can and should be a beautiful and empowering experience. So thank you so much for watching. And next week, we are going to be talking about another cesarean trap that is coming up in our series, which is breech birth. And I have a whole lot more information on that. I can give you some resources. I actually am fascinated by breech birth. It's another one of those things where if I was to have a breech baby, I know exactly how I would do it. I know how I would plan it. I know what I would do in terms of who I would hire, how they would support me. I also know that there's a rule, hands off the breech, that doesn't often get followed in the hospital. So stay tuned for that episode, because that is coming up next in the Empowered Birth series. Remember, if you found value in this, like, share, subscribe, pay it forward, pass it on, and I will see you next week. Namaste.